blew our whole window on the chase. We won't make it.
So, Parkway to the Beltway, he dies in 50-50. We must have hand off anyway.
No, the mission comes first.
I think the premise of the Americans, or the sort of hook on which the hat is hung, is in essence a spy thriller. But I think at its heart, you know, hand in hand goes with this incredibly complex relationship that, to a degree, has a time bomb attached to it. Joe Weisberg, our creator, has very wisely set the time period of the series in 1980, just before Reagan was elected, as it was a sort of tinderbox era of the Cold War, incredibly unstable between the US and the Soviet Union.
Philip, I'd like you to meet Elizabeth. Elizabeth, this is Philip.
The relationship between Philip and Elizabeth is, to me, the heart of what will be the entire series and the complexity that surrounds it. There were two KGB operatives that were put together, forced to become a marriage, and then encouraged strongly to have children in order to solidify that and cement this identification. What has happened over a long period of time is, I think, Philip has developed incredibly real and very deep feelings towards Elizabeth. Doesn't know if they're reciprocated, and therefore still has to carry out as a professional operative. He has very strong feelings about where he'd like their future as a family to lie, which is in great opposition to hers, which in all good drama ensues marvelous conflict.
Stop.
You're my wife.
Is that right?
I think what I found chilling about the backstory of Philip Jennings, and indeed Elizabeth Jennings, I think was what would have been the very early age at which they were sort of plucked by the KGB in order to start training, in order for them to be dropped at a reasonable age, in order for them to start a family, etc., etc. So the knock-on, I think, what I find chilling is the very young age that they would have been taken into the KGB or sort of scouted by the KGB, and consequently the years of training that they do to assimilate themselves as Americans.
Why can't we do this together? Because I am a KGB officer. Don't you understand that? After all these years, I would go to jail. I would die. I would lose everything before I would betray my country.
I think we should at least try and finish the mission the way it was assigned.
Oh, now you want to complete the mission the way it was assigned? I mean, you should have thought of that before, Philip. You shouldn't even be here.
Who Philip Jennings is when you find him in the first episode of the series is, I think, sort of a very potent question as he's figuring out himself who he's become, I think, because his transition up until this first episode, I think, has been enormous. He was indoctrinated heavily by the KGB for the motherland, for the mother country, and I think had a very strong ideal of what his role was within the Soviet Union. Over the time period he spent in the US and the fact that he has now had children, I think his vision on life has changed enormously. He's been seduced by the American way of life. But I think primarily, as a parent, he has a greater concern for the sort of future of his children. And as a result of that, his principles have changed enormously.
I'm gonna make a deal where you don't have to talk to the Americans if you don't want to, if you think that'll make you a traitor, but you will come with me and the kids. It won't be exactly what you want, but you'll adjust.
I think what Philip realizes is suddenly there's a very real possibility that it can all come to an end, and it probably will. And in order to safeguard his children's future, the only way to absolutely safeguard it is to defect, because therefore they'd be given immunity, they'd be paid enormously, and they'd be sort of hidden within the system. If they're caught, you know, who's to know what their children's future is? And I think that's what lies at the sort of heart of his worries. I told my family that it was, you know, when my dad was on the phone, I said it's a spy thriller. When my mum was on the phone, I said, you know, it's about this incredibly difficult marriage. Both sympathized.
We've been here a long time. What's so bad about it, you know? The electricity works all the time, food's pretty great, closet space.
Is that what you care about?
No, I care about everything.
Not the motherland.
I do, but our family comes first.